I love leagues. Every time we get a new league on old school RuneScape, I can't help but dive in and put in a crazy amount of hours early on to try and push for that dragon rank as fast as possible. Now this time around, we got RuneScape League's Catalyst, the first iteration of the League's game mode in RuneScape 3. It doesn't involve any area restrictions or any new in-game bosses like we've experienced throughout the OSRS Leagues, but there's still tasks to complete and relics to unlock with boosted XP rates and drops. And in this video, I want to talk about my experiences with this first RS3 League after putting in 300 hours as an OSRS player, my opinion on the relics, and the RS3 in general. When the league started on September 15th, I honestly wasn't even planning to put this many hours into it, thinking I would just try it out on the side just for fun. But very quickly, that rush of completing tasks and looking for new tasks to complete took over, and it felt just like any OSRS league ever has. Getting rank 1 in points, even just briefly after the first few hours of the league, felt pretty good and made me want to keep pushing for a decent rank early on, even though I didn't really know anything about Iron Man gameplay, as I've only ever played a normal skiller account on RS3 prior to this. On the third day of the league, I managed to reach tier 6, and on the next day, I got the final relic unlocked at tier 7. On day 6 of the league, I managed to peak back right up to rank 2 in points, after which I had some time away from the computer, which led to me not being able to push for ranks as much anymore. But I kept playing a lot. I got 5 pets along the way, of which 1 boss pet and 4 skilling pets, and I got all skills to 99 and higher on day 15 of the league. After learning hard mode Zuck and getting both the hard mode Zuck cape and the best in slot melee weapon, I reached 60,000 league points on October 3rd, 18 days into the league, giving me the dragon rank, which at the time put me in the top 0.06% of the player base. After that, I tried a few things out, like killing a 1000% enraged Telos and making the Masterwork armor set, but that's pretty much when I stopped playing the main account. I did try out a second account as well, where I wanted to go on a different path with my relics choices, but let's just say that did not really go too well, which brings me to the first big thing I want to talk about, the relics and their illusion of choice. If you are not familiar with the concept of leagues, one of the core parts of it is that there's powerful relics to unlock after you gain a certain amount of points from completing tasks. In this league, there were 7 tiers of relics, each having several choices per tier, with the highest tier requiring 22,000 points to unlock. Now, originally this was actually 26,000, but luckily they did reduce the point threshold for the 4 highest tiers, which if you ask me was definitely the right thing to do. Now let's dive into the specific relics, which is where one of my biggest gripes with this league comes into play. We unlock the tier 1 relic right as we start the league, which offers you the choice between 3 relics focused on different gathering skills. You have Excavator for mining and archaeology, Divine Woodcutter for divination and woodcutting, and Animal Wrangler for fishing and hunter. Now, picking anything other than Excavator is basically trolling, and it's insane how big of a difference it is with the other 2 relics. It completely solves mining, smithing, and archaeology, which are absolutely miserable if you were to pick any of the other 2 relics, and gives you a really good way to get early crafting levels just from mining gem rocks as well. Divine Woodcutter is essentially just a woodcutting fire-making relic, as the only time you do any normal divination is just for the few tasks that require you to gather certain memories, as the meta for divination is literally just doing your daily caches. The same kinda goes for the Animal Wrangler relic, only being a fishing and cooking relic, as the meta for hunter is already doing activities that don't really benefit from the relic at all. But even in those skills that the other 2 relics give you a boosted experience in, it's just nowhere near comparable to how much better Excavator makes mining and smithing. I picked the Animal Wrangler relic on my rerun account, and while it makes fishing and cooking a more AFK and streamlined experience early on, it just wasn't powerful enough at all to warrant picking it when you want a solid relic choice. Moving on to tier 2, the choices here are Golden Footed, which gives you Golden Hog boots that give you passive agility XP when equipped, 5 Finger Discount that gives benefits for thieving, and Farming Frenzy, which is similar to the farming relic we've known from OSRS leagues that allows you to instantly grow and harvest farming patches. And not picking the farming relic makes it so you may as well quit the league. And I know that sounds dramatic, but that's exactly what happened to me on my rerun account. I decided to pick Golden Footed, which felt nice in its own way in that you fairly quickly get 99 agility for free. But knowing what I got from the farming relic on my main run made me realize how much I was missing out on while not having it. Solving farming completely and indirectly also making Herblore so much more streamlined is just such an important benefit, with so many tasks being locked behind harvesting certain things or making specific potions. It just completely trumps the other relic choices. With how much of the meta in this league is just from lamping so many skills, the agility relic doesn't really solve anything or benefit you that much other than giving you a free 99 early on. Just from doing some tasks early on, you can easily get base agility levels, after which you can lamp for 80 plus and later on finishing 99 on Anachronia for tasks related to it there. It just never felt like agility was an issue at all on my main run. Oh, and notice how I haven't really mentioned the thieving relic at all until now? That's because it's not worth mentioning. It basically does nothing. As just doing quests to unlock the safe cracking activity for thieving and then doing safe cracking to 99 is literally all there is to finishing this skill, and the relic does nothing to help with that. I'd honestly be surprised if anyone other than maybe the RS guy who did a worst relics only run picked it. Tier 3 relics offer 3 different teleportation choices, with Fairy's Flight giving you teleports to all spirit trees, fairy rings and farming patches. Assassin's Insight gives you teleports to all Slayer Masters, Slayer Dungeons and a selection of Slayer targets. And Voidwalker gives you teleports to all teleportation jewelry locations. I think this is the first relic choice where the choices seem alright to me, where it comes down to more of a personal preference, and picking any of these won't really hinder your progress too much. Although I did pick Assassin's Insight myself, and I do feel like it's the best option out of the 3. Tier 4 is another tier with really only one good option if you want to be able to complete tasks properly. You have Production Master, which makes it so various production activities have their items processed at once, but it doesn't work for smithing, which is the biggest one where it would benefit you. Then there's Rejuvenated, which lets you pick any of the relics in previous tiers in case you feel like you missed out on a different choice. And Clue Connoisseur, which allows you to teleport to all your clue steps and reroll any steps you can't or don't want to do. It also has the benefits we know from clue relics in OSRS leagues, where you get minimum number of steps, maximum number of loots, and you get double clue drops and double caskets. Now let's just quickly take a look at the list of incomplete tasks on my rerun account that did not have the clue relic, sorted by percentage of people that have the task completed. Do you notice something? Yeah, that's a lot of points locked behind doing a bunch of clues, which would be a terrible experience without the clue relic. There's not much to say about Rejuvenated other than me picking it on my rerun account because I needed the excavator relic from tier 1, but if you made the correct choices up until this point, there's no reason to pick it. Production Master just doesn't feel like it solves any problems you might have leveling up certain skills that warrants a pick, compared to how much you need the clue relic to do clue tasks. I do think that Production Master has the cool effect where it gives you that feeling of being able to do certain skilling activities in a uniquely boosted way that you can only experience during leagues, which mostly shines in instantly fletching big stacks of arrows. However, fletching arrows is already pretty much a zero-time activity you do whenever you have to wait for a boss to spawn or stuff like that, so it doesn't really fix anything in the long run. With that being said, I do want to say that I think the clue relic could have been even more streamlined. The fact that you still get steps that you don't have the requirement for, and you still need the necessary items for emote clue steps, it just makes it so you're often just re-rolling for steps that you can do, and I think they could have made it so that if you take the clue relic, it simply counts as having all of the hidey holes filled for those steps. Now tier 5 is where we finally get to pick our combat relic, and I say finally because I feel like it could definitely be moved up a bit further to where we get to choose this much earlier. There's one relic for each style of combat, but there's definitely some issues here as well. See, I'm not familiar with the combat system on RS3 at all, so I'm no expert on the matter, but from what I've gathered, there's really only two great options here, and that's to go either melee or necromancy. The range and mage relics are just too underwhelming with how powerful necromancy is on its own already, and with how good the buffs are that you get from the melee relic in comparison. I'm happy with my choice of going the melee route on my main run, as it allowed me for a somewhat varied yet streamlined gear progression, while also making PvM slightly easier thanks to the lifesteal I got from the relic. My main gripe with this relic, however, is that I don't think it buffed combat nearly enough as it should have. When you unlock the combat relic on OSRS leagues, it feels like you become a god in that combat style, with your double attack speed just going crazy. RS3 PvM has a lot more depth to it than old school, and there's so many different bits and bobs you get to unlock that improve your DPS. And I think to many RS3 veterans, it felt like the difference between their established main game PvM power and the short-term Rush League PvM power was simply not big enough for a unique experience. Leagues is a place to go crazy with buffs to make the game truly feel like something unique, and I think the RS3 devs might have played it a bit too safe with that it's their first league. Not only with the combat relics, but with the general progression as well. The tier 6 relic choice is simply a joke, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. You basically get to choose between instant 200 mil invention and free top tier invention perks at all times. Or you get Banker's Note, which you never need or want to use. I do want to point out that I do love the fact that this relic came with essentially infinite money, which, much like Golden God on OSRS leagues, allowed for both some quick 400 point tasks and some unique league-only training methods, which I would like more of. Last but not least, with the tier 7 relic, we get a choice between 3 powerful combat upgrades. I think this is honestly the most balanced tier, where depending on personal preference, all 3 options work. Ascension gives you a chance at boosting all your combat stats to 255 for 6 seconds, and an Elder Godbook, which makes it so you can always proc any of the Godbooks in-game, which essentially just gives you a straight-up DPS upgrade. Specialist allows you to use any special attack in the game while also boosting the damage of those special attacks. And Everlasting Faith makes it so your prayer never drains. Praying correctly against attacks blocks all damage rather than just 50%. And protection prayers also count as having Soul Split active, giving you extra lifesteal. And you also get a free revive that has a 5-minute cooldown. Now, I went for Everlasting Faith as I think it is by far the best one for someone not familiar with RS3 PvM like myself, and it made hard content like hard mode Zuck an absolute breeze. Something that I also really liked about tier 7 is the passive effect that we got infinite time skips. There's basically a spell in RS3 that allows you to skip time for certain things like the Anachronia base camp and the archaeology research. And in the main game, I think this is limited to being able to be cast 3 times per week or something like that. And being able to just spam that infinitely as long as you have enough runes for it made for some interesting training methods as well. In short, I think the strength of the relics we got to choose from were just all over the place. It felt really unbalanced, and I think they need to both put a lot more thought into how the relics match up against each other, while also buffing most things to make things feel stronger and more unique during a temporary game mode. I want to quickly mention some good things about RS3 and the league, as I don't want to portray my opinion as being completely negative about my experience in this league. Again, I've had a lot of fun playing, and a big part of that comes from the fact that the game simply looks so good. It feels like playing in a familiar environment that feels a lot more new and modern, and it's honestly just a breath of fresh air. A lot of people are also stuck with their opinion on RS3 with EOC is bad. But to those people, I want to say genuinely get over it. EOC was bad on release. It was a pile of steaming dog shit, to say the least. But it's progressed and evolved, and the combat system in RS3 is honestly great. It has a low barrier to entry using Revolution, and many ways to try and push yourself to learn new mechanics. I feel like I've only really scratched the surface, as I've mostly just revo-barred my way through the league, using some defensive abilities when necessary and being more aware of my ability usage during things like hard mode Zuck. But when watching other people like Wazzy take on a 200 streak, 4000 enraged Telos, it's clear that there is still so much more to learn and to improve on, that I honestly think RS3 PVM has a lot more depth and is a lot more established than some people might think. Now let's talk about some other glaring problems with the league and RS3 in general. Now obviously MTX is still a big problem with RS3 to this day, but that's completely separate from the league, so I'm not going to talk about that in this video. A general RS3 problem I will, however, talk about is chore content. And by that I mean monthlies, weeklies, dailies, and most importantly during this league, hourlies. You see, during this league, even though I got max total, I never did any ranging, I never did any maging, I never crafted any runes or gathered any divination memories, other than the few tasks I had to do for points. And that is all thanks to wilderness flash events and divination caches. And boy, am I glad that we don't have something like that on old school RuneScape. You see, every single hour you get a different event in the wilderness, and each event offers you certain XP rewards and some items that don't really matter that much. But the XP! There's events that involve combat and give you a combat lamp at the end, and these lamps will literally be your meta of doing entire combat skill 99s. You have to do the event on the hour, every hour, or you're missing out. Massive FOMO. Especially on the big events like the tree. God, do not miss the tree or your day is simply ruined. The tree gives you farming, the tree gives you fire baking, it gives you woodcutting, it gives you loot, it gives everything. You want to do it every single day when it happens or you're screwed. On top of that, every day you have to also go do your divination cache twice a day to get your efficient divination training in. You want to do rune crafting? Well, you better go find a rune sphere every day for a quick XP boost. While it does feel nice to get these big rewards, it sucks having to go out of your way for something at specific times. And some people will say just don't do them. But that's just not how it works if you want to be somewhat efficient, you know? You want to know what was really nice about this league as well? Already having automatic access to Privdinus and Menethos and having all of those quests auto-completed. And you know what was not so nice about this league? Having to do so many other quests for both completing tasks and unlocking content you want to do. Jagex, please. We do not want to do quests in a temporary game mode. I know there's the silver lining to doing quests in that the boosted XP reward from quests is really nice and it also helps, you know, solving a lot of skills for sure. But what I would like to see, and I don't even know if this is possible, but if they could make it so that in leagues, it's as if you have all the quests completed in that all the content is simply available, but you can still go and complete quests if you want to in order to get the XP rewards from them. Again, that's a solution in my eyes in an ideal world, but I feel like that would save many people the headache of having to redo a bunch of boring quests that don't really feel as fun as doing other things during a league. I feel like for my standards, I've already yapped quite a bit at this point, so I want to try and close it out with some final thoughts. In general, the RS3 League was a lot of fun. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have put in this many hours. And if you haven't tried it out yet, I would still highly recommend giving it a go just to get a feel of it. Obviously, it was the first league that they did at RS3, and while that allows for some early problems, I think they could have taken some more learning points from OSRS leagues that have run in the past to prevent making some similar mistakes. in the hopes that they offer more balanced relics in the future, with a more boosted and unique experience that doesn't just feel like a faster main game. I have a feeling that future RS3 leagues will definitely be a lot of fun as well, and I'll make sure to try them out when they happen. For now, I'm really excited for the OSRS Gridmaster launching next week, and I'll be sure to go hard on release, so I'll see you all then. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.